So, welcome to another episode of the MCC livestream series where we're looking in some detail at Apple's Everyone Can Code curriculum content to aid the teaching of computing and coding. With me, as always, is Mr. David Kirtland. Nice shirt, David. Love it. And he's an Apple professional learning specialist, no less. And myself, I'm Richard Child. I am the education manager for MCC Digital. We're an Apple authorized education specialist. And we've been delighted to bring this series of streams of videos to highlight these great resources. And this week, this episode, we are looking at something maybe a little away from the coding, but equally engaging. And this is about the design of creating an app. So this is a little section of the Everyone Can Code material that I think is really engaging and really does bring this subject into the real world, in that, you know, this is of course a potential career path for your coding students. So, in fact, for all of us. So, David, we're going to look at designing apps, and we're not going to use Playgrounds today. We're going to use the excellent Keynote app. So take it away. Show us what you've got.
Yes, yeah, we are jumping back into Keynote like we did. Spent a lot of time with it in with Everyone Can Create in the first series of these, and it's such a flexible app. We can do so much with it. Now, there's a few things to remember when we're looking at the Everyone Can Code curriculum, and the computing curriculum that we're teaching in schools, we kind of get a little bit kind of focused on it being around the computer science bit, the coding element of it. And while that is really important, and it's the bit that a lot of schools do need that little bit of help with, we do have to remember that there is quite a lot more to the computing curriculum than just the coding. There's all the digital literacy and all the other bits as well. And there's a lovely bit in the Everyone Can Code books that kind of links all these together. It kind of pulls in some of the ideas from Everyone Can Create, but a lot of the kind of the concepts that we've been working towards anyway. And also remembering why we're doing this coding. And it might be that not while the children are probably at school, but maybe when they finished and they move on, an end goal might be to produce and create their own apps. And coding is obviously really quite fundamental to that, but at the same time, so is that whole design process and what we call app prototyping, coming up with why are we making an app, what does it look like, how does it work, what happens when I press this button, how do I navigate around it? And that's a big topic. And there's a strand in Everyone Can Create. So I'm going to jump out of that puzzles book we've been working with for a while. I'm actually looking at getting started with code 1 here. And this is just, I'm just on a page here, page 52, I think it is there, that's on one of the optional activities. Most of the chapters have this optional activity that runs throughout the course of the book, taking us through that kind of whole process of, if you are going to make a map, let's come up with a good idea. And let's just not make it any old app. Let's really think about what are we wanting to present here and how does it work. And what's nice about it is it gives us all these examples. And just looking here, we've got a bit of a screenshot in the corner, looking at one of the apps that's used as an example. We can download that. We'll have a look at it in a moment. But we can see this has been created in Keynote. It's been mocked up, so it's been drawn, hand-drawn with the drawing tools. And as we're just flicking through, we can see how the ideas are coming together. We've got some animals appearing, and this app is all about finding out about these endangered animals. And we're starting to think about, well, what's the layout look like? Where does the menu go? Where would there be a button, and what would it do? And if we had a quiz in, how many answers are we going to have? And all that kind of the logic process behind clicking on each button and where it takes us. It is a big discussion and a big part of this, and does take time. And just being able to kind of scribble it down with the Apple Pencil or maybe using your finger is a really useful attribute when you're doing this. So there's some of the options for when people try to answer those questions. So there's lots of help in those books there to go and have a look. That's in getting started with code 1. So if I jump back into Keynote for a moment and have a look at our presentations, there's the Keynote file that you can download from the book. So that's that animal app, looking at the endangered animals. And you can see, just looking at it, it is a fairly standard Keynote file. We've got our slides, and we can see how they work just as we would when we're working in Keynote anyway. But we're using Keynote in a bit of a different way here. So we've used the drawing tools, we've pressed plus, and we've used the drawing options there to put these elements in. We've got our 3 animals, and we've got some shapes in the middle, the get started and the credits. These are just shapes that we've used up here, the shapes that we add in, and we've got all these different shapes on here. But we're using those now as buttons. And fundamentally, if you can see that little blue circle with the arrow, that's what makes this work as an app prototype. It's a working model of an app. So once we run this, to all intents and purposes, it should work like the real life app. It's just inside Keynote for now. So as we tap through it, we can see what we're looking at. And we've got these link buttons all over the place. We've got instructions, we've got back buttons. We've thought about the structure of this. We've got some home buttons and we've got some questions coming up here. Let's have a look. I'm going to just press play. And you can see now it's starting to look more like an app. So let's press get started. And my three animals have all got a little magnifying glass on, so we can tap one of those. It tells us what to do. Tap the animals to find out more. And a big part of making successful apps is their usability. Do these do what they're supposed to do? Are they easy to navigate? Can we find our way around them? Are they just generally easy to use? So let's tap on the koala bear. And it takes us to some information. It tells us about the koala. We've got some hands. If we tap there, we might get a bit more how we can help support these animals and what we can do to make sure these animals survive. And we've got two buttons. We've got a back button that takes me back to the koala, or I've got a home that takes me right back to the beginning. So it's nice to have those options to get around things, because you find the children design their apps and quite often they get to a dead end and you're stuck and you have to go back and work out how they can get back to the beginning. Let's have a look at the platypus. Now let's tap the hands. So we've got a bit of information, tap the hands, and we've got some more information. There's our quiz. So this one's going a little bit deeper into the workings of the app. So let's take the quiz, and we've only got one question at this stage, but we could develop this into further and deeper questions. What does a platypus use to hunt? So we've got 4 answers, and the children need to work out, actually, 3 of these are going to be wrong, 1 is going to be right. So that's going to lead you to 2 routes. One that displays, you tap one of the answers, it will display a correct result. You tap the other 3 answers, and it will take you to the same route, which says it's incorrect, try again. So if I tap nose, for example, sorry, that's wrong, let's try again. So let's go back. We'll have another go. Let's try eyes this time. No, that's taken us to the same page because it's still wrong. But if we go down and try bill, that takes us a different route. So we've got to think about that structure. And that's really quite fundamental to getting this working and looking right. It's really nice. I've just hand drawn on an empty slide at the bottom, getting the children to just kind of put a bit of a flow chart together. So if you have got your home screen and that links out to 4 maybe subsequent elements, that one, the top one there, we've got some facts about whatever our topic is, leads into a quiz, and then we've got our right and our wrong answers. Just planning out the navigation, the structure is really quite a useful exercise. So let's have a go at putting our own together. So I'm going to close that, and I'm going to create a new blank presentation. So let's choose a theme. And as always, Keynote gives us all these really nice different templates, and these are lovely if we're creating presentations, but we're not. We're creating an app prototype. So we don't want all these nice colors for the moment because we're going to add our own in. Let's stick with a blank white one, and I'm just going to go for that plain white there. And there we go. We've got our first slide. It's a simple white one, and it's got 2 text boxes on there. It tells us double tap to edit. Actually, we want to start with a blank one, I think. So let's single tap and delete these. So we're starting from a completely blank slide for the moment. Now, the first thing we probably want to think about is kind of the shape and the structure of our app. Now, I'm looking at quite a wide screen app at the moment, and that's probably not really what we want. So let's tap on the More button, the 3 dots up here. Let's have a look at Document Setup. And this takes me back. I can re-choose my template if I've decided I wanted a different set of colors, but I'm happy with white. But more importantly, I can change the slide size. And I feel like this one, I think this one should probably be a portrait one. So if I'm using this on my phone, I'm going to use this app the normal way up. I have my phone in portrait mode. So I'm going to go for that 3x4 option. And that just changes the format. And it feels a bit more appropriate for the app I think I'm going to make here. Now, we need to decide on our topic. I'm going to do mine about insects and bugs that we might find in the garden, kind of a mini beast gallery, and find out a little bit of information about these different insects we can discover. So we need to go away and do that research. And this is a really good point when we're in the schools anyway. We can use this to create our apps and think about all those computing curriculum ideas that we need to kind of cover. But also at the same time, there's a big literacy project here. We need to go away and do that research and find the facts and gather the information and rewrite it in full sentences and whatever we need to do at that particular stage. We could put audio in, we can put all sorts in here really. It's just something to put our content in. So I'm going to do mine about mini beasts, and I've got my first slide. So I want this first slide to be, what do we see when we launch the app? So the first thing I'm going to do, before I select anything, I'm going to press the paintbrush. And the paintbrush lets me change some of the parameters. And this, without anything selected, gives me the option to change the background. So I'm just going to change the color. And I think I'm going to go for one of these yellows, something like that. And then I want to add a title in. So I'm going to press plus again. And I'm going to go to my shapes. So I've got these tabs where I can add photos and audio and various other things. Just one in is all my shapes. And this gives me all sorts of options on here. I've got squares and cylinders, and I've got jumpers and sheep and rabbits and all sorts of things. I don't need any of that at the moment, but the first one there is a text box. So let's put a text box back and we'll give this a name. So I'm just going to tap in there and I'm going to call it Bug Buzz. Just give it a nice name. And we'll select all that and use our paintbrush to just make this look a bit more interesting. So onto the text tab, let's find a different font. I think we'll see what's interesting on here. Let's go for that phosphate one, a nice big bold one. And let's make it a nice bright red. Bright red, that one. Let's go for that. We'll make it nice and big as well. So we'll have a big title up at the top of the screen. And then we'll use some of those shapes and other things that we can use in Keynote just to kind of start designing it. Now, obviously, you can spend as much time as you like on this and how it kind of looks and feels, and really kind of get the children to think about the design and the style, and you could even get into color theory and what colors work well together and so on. We'll put some things in quickly here because we don't have too long. So let's have a look back on our plus and let's go to our shapes, and we could scroll through these. There's hundreds and hundreds of these, but I'm going to use that little search tool. And let's start off, let's see if we can find some of the nice ones. Let's find a butterfly. There we go. So there we are. We can make these nice and big and we can twist them around with 2 fingers. Use the paintbrush. We can make these whatever color we like. I'll go for some simple bold colors at the moment. In fact, actually, let's put another one in. I'll put this one down here. Make that one a bit smaller. And I think we'll make that one green. Okay, let's see what else we can find. So insects, what else have we got? Oh, we've got a ladybird. Let's put a ladybird in. Ladybirds aren't very often blue. I think I'm going to make mine red. But we can do whatever we like with these. Let's just space these out of it. Have we got any ants? Ants. There we go. Let's put an ant there, and I think we'll make him. Let's make him black. There we go. And in fact, actually, I think I'm going to try and have him walking up the page. So let's tap him. I'm just going to tap and copy, and let's put a few of these on. We'll have look like there's a row of ants going. There we go. I'll change the size of some of these, fit them around. There we go. So we can keep going. We can add all sorts of things to this. But as a starting point, I think that'll do us just for the moment. Now, I'm going to move that butterfly down a little bit because I'm going to add one more shape. And I'm going to go right back to the beginning. And let's just we'll not go for the square one. I'm going to go for the square one with the rounded edges. Just because that feels a bit more kind of like a button shape, doesn't it? So I'm going to put that there. And I could color this, I could do whatever I like, but I think actually with the colors we've got there, blue's working okay. So let's double tap in there and we can add some text. Tap to find more insects. Something like that. So we've got an instruction. So when we're using this app, we kind of know what we're going to do. So as a starting point, we launch our app. That's what we're looking at for the moment. And I've got a call to action. It's going to do something. I can tap that button there and do it. So let's add another blank slide. So I'm going to press plus down in the bottom corner and just add a blank page. And I could color this something differently. I'm going to tap the paintbrush. And I think I'm going to go for the same color, which was that one, I think. There we go. And we want to start building up our content here. So we need to be able to get into here and have a look. Now, I've already done a little bit of research. If I jump out of Keynote for a moment and go to my photos, I've already just saved 4 photos there. And I made sure they're all the same shape. They're all square, just so that I know they'll look okay. But we can take that into another aspect of the lesson, go and save these images, do a little bit of photo editing, just trim them down so that they are all the same shape and they work together. So I've got 4 images as my starting point. So I'm going to use those. So I'm just going to simply press plus onto my photos and let's find our first one. I think we'll put the butterfly in first. And there we go. We'll put that up here in this corner. And we'll start our little gallery coming off. And in fact, actually, let's put the others in as well. So I'll put ladybird. Now let's try and match these up so they're about the right size so that things look nice and even. In fact, we can think about the design and the layout of these as well. So I'm just lining them up so that I know they're the same size. And Keynote actually kind of helps snap them to the right size as well. So let's put the last one in. So there we go. So we could just have those in a column. I think I'll leave them there because it leaves me space if I want to take this a little bit further and have another row of these at the moment. Or I could put some text at the side of them if we're going to develop this when we've got a little bit more time. But I think I'm going to leave it at that stage for the moment. Now, I need to think about how I navigate through this app. So I've got this page, this slide where I will see it when I first launch the app. I want to press that blue button, and I want it to take me to this page now where I can select my insects from a gallery. So we need to link them. So back to my first one, and if I just tap that first button, that first shape, now we did this right at the beginning when we tapped the text box, and we've got that delete option there, but we're now looking for one that says link. And if I tap link, ordinarily in Keynote, when you tap something, it will link you to the next slide, but we don't necessarily want that linear structure. So I'm going to press the option that gives me link to slide. And I've only got 2 slides, so I kind of have to go to number 2 at the moment, but that's okay because that's right. But as we build up our app, we'll have a lot more options in there. So you can see there, I've now got that little blue circle with the arrow on. That tells me that's a working link. So that will take me, let's just try it. If I run it, my app, I can press my button. That link button disappears, that link symbol, so it's not there for me to see. I can press that button and it takes me into the app, takes me to the gallery. But at the moment, I have no way of getting back. So we need to put something in here that takes me back. Well, that's kind of like the home screen, isn't it? The home page. So I think I'm going to go back to my shapes. And let's do another search. Let's search for a house because that's kind of the universal symbol for going home. So let's put a house in. I'll put it down in this bottom corner out of the way. And I think it kind of works that size. It's nice and easy to press. It's blue, so it's easy to see against the yellow. So let's add that as a link. So let's tap it and link. And I need to link to slide. And this one needs to go back to 1, which is fine. So let's try it. Let's go back here and let's play the presentation. So tap to find more insects, and we can go home, and we can just keep switching between the two because the buttons are working. Perfect. Now, we need to start thinking about how we develop this a little bit further. So I think I'm going to copy this page. I'm just going to tap over here and paste it. So I've got a duplicate of it. And let's just delete each of these. So I'm going to have a page per insect now. So this is my butterfly. I'm going to have a nice big picture of it. There we are. And I'm going to add another text box. So back to my shapes, it's the first text box. And let's put the text in there. There we are. And we've got our research. We've got our maybe some handwritten notes of the key facts about the butterfly. We can write as much as we like here. We could use that audio feature. We could put some audio feedback in as well, some audio comments. Let's just put a line for the moment. So just something simple for now. You might find butterflies in your garden near the flowers. And of course, we'll spend a lot more time fleshing out that content. So we've kind of got the beginnings of our structure. Let's think about that navigation. Let's think about working our way through the app again. So if we're on our gallery page, we need to be able to get to the butterfly. So I need to make this butterfly option here a link. So let's link to slide 3. And that's fine. So that will take us, we press the butterfly and it will take us here. Now, at the moment, we only have the option to go right back to the very beginning, which is doesn't feel quite right. Once we've tried it, we really want to just get back to the gallery. So I think we need to put another navigation button in here that will take us back rather than take us home. So back to our shapes, and we'll put an arrow in. And again, an arrow kind of says backwards or forwards. Now this is pointing to the right, which kind of feels it's the wrong way. That's kind of pointing forward. So we need to go back. So we need to turn it round. And we can just grab hold of it and just turn it round, which is quite nice. So I'm going to put that there, tap it, and let's link. So this is going to have to link to slide back to number 2 now. So we'll try it in a moment. But there's one more trick we can do to make this work like an app. Because when we're in Keynote, ordinarily, if it was a normal presentation, we'd tap anywhere on the slide and it would advance us to the next one. It still does that at the moment. And we kind of don't want that because we need to jump around in this non-linear structure, just like an app might. So we can make it do that if we press the More button, those 3 dots in the top corner. And let's go down to Settings. And in Settings, we have an option here that says Presentation Type. And presentation type, I'm on normal. So when I tap the background, it advances a slide at a time, which is what we normally do with a presentation. But I've got an option here that says links only. And if I do that, that will stop it working. When I tap on the background, it will do nothing. I have to press one of these linked items now. So they are really working like buttons. So let's just try it. Let's check we've got what we're doing here. So we've put these new links in. Let's press play. If I turn my iPad into portrait, you kind of see how this is starting to look like an app now, because it's full screen, and I can go home. I can tap to find more insects. I can press my butterfly. My back button is working. My home button is working. So it's kind of feeling like a full screen portrait app. So let's go back. Let's add a little bit more. So I've got my butterfly. Let's copy that page. And I'll paste that one now. So I've got another butterfly, but I need to delete this one now because it's not a butterfly. So we need to think about putting our ladybird in. So I can copy that picture. You could insert them in other ways. It just, whichever way you prefer. So let's put the ladybird in. So something like that. We need to change our text, don't we? So let's select the text there. This is a ladybird. You will find these on lots of plants in the garden. And there we go. So we've got a bit of text there. We can start to got things coming together. Let's just check our links. So this one is going home. Yep, so that's going back to slide 1. So that's right, that's going there. This one is a back button. It's still going to the same place. Let's check. That's going back to slide 2. So we're not just going back one slide, we're missing one out. We're going back to slide 2. So that's kind of working for us as well. So we just need to go back here and just make sure our gallery button takes us to the right page. So let's add a link in there. So link to slide, we're going to 4 this time, aren't we? So there we go. So I think that's working. So we're coming together now. This is working quite well. Let's do the last 2, and then that will be okay for the minute. So I'm going to tap on here. Let's copy this, and we'll paste it in again. And we'll delete that image. And we need this time, what is it? We've got our worm. So let's copy the worm from here, paste the worm in, and let's think about the layout. There's our worm. Edit our text. If you dig a hole. So if you dig a hole in the soil, you might find a few worms. That's okay. So these links should still work. We've still got our home going right back to slide 1. We've got our back taking us back to slide 2. So it's coming together quite quickly. So we need to link the worm here. Let's link again. And this one's going to link to slide 5. And we have one more to go. So let's copy our slide. Paste that one in. And delete our worm. And our last one, I think, is an ant, isn't it? So let's copy the ant. Paste it in. There we go. Change our text. There we go. So ants live in colonies. You might find lots of these walking in a line. And again, you can kind of guide how much content and detail, and depending on the year group who's doing this, how much content we're putting in there. But again, these links they'll be right. They'll take us back to slide 1 or slide 2. We just need to join this one up. And let's link this to slide 6 this time. And I think as a basic kind of structure, this is just about there. So let's press play. We'll go into portrait mode so we can see it full screen, and it's looking really quite nice on the iPad now. So let's tap to find more insects. And there's our gallery. Maybe we want some instructions down here of saying what we want to do in the gallery. I could tap in here. That's taking us to the butterfly. Let's go back. And each of these looks like they're working. And I need to press the button. Just tapping on the background isn't doing anything. So there we go, and they're all working. And I could take this into a deeper level now and insert a quiz, and we could add some questions, and we could have those different kind of categories of, well, you've got this right, so move on to this one, or you've got this wrong, start again. We've got lots of kind of flexibility. So while we are thinking about this as a computing project, really do try and link it to different areas of the curriculum. It could be a historical project, it could be a research one, it could be anything really. It's just another way of giving us that opportunity for children to explain their understanding. But while we might do it in a document or a film or something else, we're doing it just in a different way that's linking nicely to the computing curriculum. Now, in terms of content, what we put in here, we've done it pretty much with images and text. But under that plus, we can add sound, we can use the drawing options, we can animate those. If you look back to the first series of these where we spent quite a lot of time with Keynote, we covered all sorts of things with animations. You could do an animation in there and put that in as well to explain something that's maybe process driven. There's really kind of a lot of options you can do with Keynote. And once we get it right, this is all going to sit inside Keynote, but it is working. You can send this to other people to try. It is working as a functional app. It does everything we kind of expect an app would do. So that process of prototyping, planning it, trying out is a really valuable one, but link it to other areas of the curriculum too. And I think we're kind of there with our approach to this.
Absolutely incredible as always. And you know, each time I see Keynote, I'm reminded how it is my favorite. It's just so versatile, isn't it?
It is.
And you know, this can be used. This kind of activity can be used not just within computing and coding, but across any subject and any age group, really. Some examples I saw, some really neat techniques where if you've got a photo that's the whole sort of page, you can overlay transparent shapes so that if you click on part of a map, for example, it will take you then to some more content behind it. And it just flows like an app. It's really good. App prototyping, that is absolutely what we're doing here, without the need for any real detailed coding knowledge, but all part of that whole app economy. Fabulous. Just amazing. Thank you. So staying in Keynote, we've got a few bits and pieces to tell you about. So the Everyone Can Code program, we've seen over the last 5, 6, 7 sessions how deep it is. And if you want to know all about it, then click your iOS camera at that QR code and it will take you to Apple's Everyone Can Code overview web page. And about halfway down that page, there is a PDF that you can download, take a look at, and it will actually map hours of activity to different age groups so that you can really start to think about how that can be integrated into what you're doing in school. And as well as that, there are a ton of other Apple resources to look at, and a great place to start is the Apple Teacher Program. So the Apple Teacher Program is online CPD. There is an entire module in Apple Teacher about Everyone Can Code. So that would probably be a good place to have a look at. 2 QR codes on this page. The first one is the overview on Apple's website telling you about the program. And the second one is the all-important sign-up page. Just sign up with your Apple ID and away you go. And complete the modules. You will earn the Apple Teacher badge. And that's not a bad thing at all. And finally, if you're a school that wants to take your computing and coding resources to the next level, we have an MCC MyLearn computing toolkit for you. This consists of 16 iPads, 15 Sphero Bolt robots. That's the cricket ball size robot there with the little LED display on the top. It rolls around the classroom. You can program text and emojis into the LED matrix. Great fun. We're going to look at Sphero next time around. And also 5 of the Sphero Rover robots. That's the tracked robot in the top photo there on the slide. Great fun. All of these things really engaging for pupils and teachers. Great fun to use, have them rolling and driving around your classroom. And all of that's available together with, of course, the lesson content from Apple with Everyone Can Code and lesson content from Sphero with their Sphero Edu app. You're not going to run out of things to do. And that's all available on a MyLearn subscription for just £289 a month on a 3-year subscription. So there we go. Thank you for joining us this week. David and I will be back for our next session where we're going to revisit Sphero for our finale. And we're going to see how Sphero actually will work beautifully with Swift Playgrounds. And Darren was due to be with us today. He's poorly today, so get well soon, Darren. And we hope to see you back soon. That's it from us today. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.